Lugo Jimenez. Um, Once she is finished talking about that, we know a number of you have questions about another pending issue. We will take those questions afterwards, but we'll allow her the opportunity to first talk about this very important indictment. State's Attorney Braveboy.
Thank you so much, Denise, and thanks to all of you for being here. I'm here today to announce the indictment of Olga Lugo Jimenez in the tragic death of two small children who were on their way to Riverdale Park Elementary School. 10-year-old Shalom Ba and 5-year-old Sky Sosa lost their lives on November 20th, 2023. This is a very tragic case, two young children on their way to school. We have thousands of children across Prince George's County walking to school every single day.
Recording in progress.
And it is such a tragedy that on this day, as young people were trying to just go to school, see their friends, get an education, that they were tragically struck by the negligent driving of Miss Jimenez. And their lives are forever lost. These were young children, 10 and 5. Their families are still in mourning. But we reached out to them yesterday to advise them of the decision of the grand jury after our presentation to the grand jury of this case. And we are pleased and satisfied, as well as the family is pleased and satisfied, that we have moved in this direction and that Ms. Jimenez will be held accountable for her actions. So I caution all drivers to pay attention to all traffic laws, not to speed, to value life. And while an indictment obviously is not a conviction, and Ms. Jimenez will have an opportunity to defend herself in a court of law, what I will say is that we are very confident as we move forward in this case that this was the right decision. And we look forward to presenting this case to a judge and or jury at the appropriate time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I did want to mention that she's facing 2 counts of criminally negligent manslaughter and 2 counts of causing serious physical injury and or death to a vulnerable individual while operating a motor vehicle. And so the top charges of criminally negligent manslaughter both carry a maximum of 3 years in prison. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about this particular case.
Hi, my name is Alexis Wainwright, reporter with WUSA 9. Question for you. I know there's been concerns about having the crosswalking guards, and I know PG County has been continuously trying to fill those positions. Do you know where the county stands, especially with such a sensitive subject like this and seeing the outcome of this incident? Are there concerns moving forward? I know you're reminding drivers to drive slow and be cautious, but are there concerns knowing the crosswalk situation still today that's being faced?
You know, I remember growing up here, I was actually a bus patrol, so I'm very familiar with our crossing guards, and our crossing guards are such a vital part of our school system. And it's really important that we fill those positions. I know that the county government has been aggressively trying to recruit and hire crossing guards. It's a difficult job. The pay is not a lot. And so it is sometimes difficult to fill these types of positions, but I know that there is an aggressive recruitment strategy underway, but the county government would be in a better position to tell you how they're doing.
Thank you, State's Attorney. Jasmine Hilton here with the Washington Post. To that last question, has it been confirmed whether or not there was a crossing guard on duty at the time of that incident? And just as a follow-up question, is Ms. Jimenez being held without bond? Is she currently out right now, awaiting those charges and anything to be said on her status.
So these types of charges are usually charged by a summons, which means the individual must appear in court on a specific date. The next date that she must appear is June 5th. So at this time, she is not in custody, but that is normal for these types of cases.
Thank you,
Yes,
CT.
ma'am. Jimmy Alexander. I apologize. Jimmy Alexander, WTOP News. Now, 6 months later, what led to the indictment now?
Well, as you probably know, following many of these cases involving accidents, there's accident reconstruction that is done. Lots of reports are generated. And then, of course, our office reviews it. Then we present the findings to a grand jury. So it does take time for the accident reconstruction team to conduct all of the investigations that they need to conduct in order to provide us with a full and final report. So once that was done, we acted expeditiously to review it internally and then prepare it to be presented to a grand jury. So it does take time. I remember prior to me being here, sometimes these types of incidents would take up to a year or longer. In order to indict, we have done our best to work with our police department and Maryland State Police when it's on a state road to reduce that time. But those reports are really important because we cannot indict someone and prove a case unless we have credible evidence that a crime occurred. And these cases are not as cut and dry as other type of cases that involve death. So we have to take our time with it. The department has to take its time and prepare a well-reasoned and well thought out report. And that's what happened in this case. A very thorough report was done and a strong presentation was made to the grand jury.
And a follow-up, ma'am. Was Miss Jimenez, was she an employee at the children's school?
She was not an employee at the children's school. She was someone who was driving a passenger van that took community kids to school. However, she was not affiliated with the school system either. This was an independent passenger delivery service.
Marielle Carbone here with DC News Now. Obviously, this case, it involves two young children. This was really difficult for the community when it happened. All these families that go walk their kids. You watching this kind of come to where we're at now with this indictment, how does it feel for you?
This case, it was heartbreaking. I remembered going to the vigil that was held at the school and to see not only the families, but really the friends of these young souls who died. It was heartbreaking. It's still heartbreaking to even think about. My job in this case is to seek justice and to gain accountability from those who wronged others. And in this case, we believe Ms. Jimenez was in the wrong. Did she intentionally do it? Did she set out to kill two children that day? No, I don't think anyone can credibly say that she was. But when you take actions like not paying attention, or in this case, making a turn that should not have been made unless it was clear that the that she could make the turn safely. Um, when things like that happen, people have to take responsibility. So it's a tough case because we know that Ms. Jimenez did not intend to hurt or harm anyone. But the actions that she took that day led to the death of two small children, and she could have and should have made better decisions. Driving is not a right, it is a privilege. And people who are driving on our roadways have a duty to others. They have a duty not to drive distracted. They have a duty not to speed. They have a duty not to drive under the influence. They have a duty to obey traffic signals and traffic laws, because we know that operating motor vehicles can cause serious accidents and can lead to death. And so, as government, as the top law enforcement officer, I have to hold people accountable when they disregard those laws that all of us are sworn to uphold when we get our driver's license. This is what we say we're going to do. We say we're going to obey the laws. And when we don't, and when it rises to criminal negligence, my job as state's attorney is to hold individuals accountable, and that's what we're doing in this case.
Any,
Ma'am,
thank
two more.
you. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Two follow-up questions on this. Do you know if the company that she worked for gave special training when it comes to driving children? And second, what kind of sentence would charges like this, what could she receive?
So to answer your first question, I am not aware of any training that this particular company provided. I don't know if the company even required training. Again, this was a private, independent service that parents in that community decided to procure to get their kids to school. So I don't have any knowledge of what their requirements were. With respect to penalties, she is facing up to 3 years for each death that occurred, based on the state law and state statute around criminally negligent homicide. Criminally negligent manslaughter. An individual charged with criminally negligent manslaughter faces up to 3 years in prison. We are charging her with 2 counts, so she could potentially face up to 6 years.
Thank you, State's Attorney. And just for confirmation, the two children who were struck and killed, they're unrelated, but the third victim was the father of the younger child, if that's correct?
I know yes, I believe he was the father of the younger child, of the 5-year-old. Yes. And he was struck, but he did not sustain serious injuries.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, State's Attorney Braveboy, and thank you all for those good questions. Any additional questions on the indictment? I do know that Nana as well as Harold Fisher called me about specific questions that they had. So I'll open it up to everyone, and then I know them in particular, they had questions. So feel free, Nana or Harold.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Denise. Hi, State's Attorney Aisha. Oh,
Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
Attorney Braveboy, question. We all just got the release from the state prosecutor about charges, embezzlement, campaign funds spending in regard to former council member Mel Franklin. Did you know anything about this? Were you part of the process into this investigation?
This investigation was handled by the Office of the State Prosecutor, so my office was not directly involved in this investigation.
Did you get any wind? Did they reach out to you? Did it come across your desk, or are you finding out the same time that we're finding out?
I found out the same time that you found out. I can tell you that it was shocking, and quite frankly, very disappointing. And while Mr. Franklin, like every other individual facing charges, have the presumption of innocence, to have these types of charges leveled against one of our elected officials here in Prince George's County is just very disappointing. We have unfortunately had in recent and past history individuals who represented this great county really just defy the public trust. And again, Mr. Franklin is innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. But to see the charges, to see some of the supporting evidence, it is very concerning. My heart goes out to this county because we deserve better. We've lived through tough times when it deals with ethics of individuals representing our county, and that is not reflective of the people of this county. We have really good, solid people here in Prince George's County, and they deserve elected officials that operate with ethics and integrity. That is what they deserve. And if people fall short of that, they have to be held accountable just like everyone else.
If I may ask, Madam State's Attorney, do you believe that there may be the possibility that there may be other crimes that may come across your desk in reference to former council member Franklin?
You know, at this time, I've not received any information as it relates to Mr. Franklin, and if so, we will pursue those you know, issues or allegations as we would any others. But at this time, we don't have any allegations that have been brought to our office.
Thank you, ma'am.
State's Attorney, are you able to clarify why your office isn't investigating this and why it's the state prosecutor? I understand they're an independent office under the governor.
So generally, as with these allegations, when it involves campaign finance laws that have potentially been broken, that those cases are handled by the Office of the State Prosecutor. So that is really part of their charter, why they were formed, they were developed to prosecute certain types of cases. And cases involving charges based on campaign finance issues, that falls squarely within the purview of the Office of the State Prosecutor. They enforce the state campaign finance statute. So that is why they would be the appropriate entity to handle this type of case.
Yeah.
Any additional questions?
Hi, I have one more quick question. This is concerning something else, but we know there have been concerns about the law in Prince George's County that prohibits from people having pit bulls in Prince George's County. And the PG County dog shelter or animal shelter has a lot of pit bulls that often face being euthanized. We know several groups have been organizing, but have been voicing their concerns about this. Do you know if there's been any discussions of changing that pit bull ban at all?
I know that in the past, the county council has taken up measures dealing with the pit bull ban. However, that falls again within their purview. And, you know, so far, I don't believe that they've made any changes to the law.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, State's Attorney Braveboy. As always, if you need anything additionally, feel free to reach out to me. Have a great evening.
Thank you.